In the last episode, I mentioned how important it is to consider having backup power to your tank using recycled lithium-ion batteries. I removed the Tesla BMS, added a cell meter, and then balanced the two modules by connecting them in parallel. Added a BMS to the Tesla modules, and temporarily wired everything together. In this episode, a Tesla-powered Reef, Episode 3, I will balance the modules and do a few real-time tests. Since the BMS will not automatically balance the module because of the high difference in the series, I need to balance them as close as I can first. To do this, I use an iCharger X6. As you can see, the 6 series of batteries in the module are not balanced. And after 4 hours and 14 minutes, the module is finally balanced. Now I can disconnect the iCharger, plug in the BMS, and start the real-time tests. First I cut power to the tank, and plug in the 24-volt inverter. There are a lot of different values we need to concentrate on: the time, the tank temperature, the room temperature, and both amp draw. As you can see, all of my outlets on the Apex are set to auto for this first test. This test will be full system on. And here is the final hour-by-hour test results. At 8:35 a.m., the inverter started beeping, letting me know it was close to shutting down on its own. At 10 p.m., the inverter shut off due to low voltage. That gives me 24 hours and 10 minutes of total runtime with full system on. On my Apex, I have an emergency setting that allows me to turn off specific outlets to save on power usage in the event of a power outage. When I turn on emergency, one MP10, one heater, the reactor LED, T5, sump LED, and sump light are turned off, saving me a lot of battery power. And here is the final hour-by-hour test results. At 10 a.m., I manually turned off the inverter and stopped the test, which gave me 24 hours and 10 minutes runtime. But the battery still had a voltage of 22.4. From the last test, the inverter shut off at 21.9 volts, so I still had roughly 5 hours of battery life left, giving the test a new total of roughly 29 hours total runtime on the emergency setting. Keep in mind, this is without connecting any solar panels to the battery. 29 hours is a decent amount of time considering power outages typically last only hours or a day. In prior experience with extended power outages, fuel for vehicles and generators is the first necessity to become extremely difficult to acquire. I've personally seen fuel lines take over 5 hours before eventually running out. Cars abandoned on the side of the road soon becomes a frightening reality. Depending on weather, once solar is set up, it is set it and forget it. I get it. In a power outage, an aquarium isn't your main focus, but what if it doesn't have to be? We dedicate so many hours and spend so many dollars on our tanks to keep them from failing. Some of us have spent years upon years trying to create the perfect ecosystem. It is up to us to make sure our tanks have everything they need to keep running. We try to mimic the ocean as close as we can, but the ocean where our tank inhabitants come from does not have an accidental off switch. A wise quote from Benjamin Franklin: "If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail." I will make another video where I build a case for the 2 Tesla modules, so like and subscribe if you haven't already.